Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Elizabeth and usually on this channel we talk about tarot. But today we're going to talk about a little bit of business because I sort of think anything that happens to me that I manage to work my way through in this huge, enormous, overwhelming jungle that's the internet that we all seem to be going on to, I'm going to talk about. Now, this happened a little while ago, but, well, I've had a couple of things happen. But as I've kind of been a victim of my own success. So when I was small and nobody knew anything about me, I put my work out and nothing drastic happened. And then I had somebody actually directly copy me on Etsy. Like they put this almost, I think, the same images. They bought all my stuff. They literally downloaded it out of Etsy and stuck it back up again and thought somehow I wouldn't notice and started selling it. And they did sell a few things, which was really, Anyway, I complained to Etsy and it all got taken down. And it was pretty obvious that it was a direct copy and it was really easy and Etsy were amazing. And so that was it. So that was fine, done and dusted. Then I got copied again, and this time it was nasty. So this person decided that because they were on Shopify and I'm in Etsy, and I'll talk about that as well because I think it's really important in terms of awareness, that they could play in Shopify and I could play in Etsy and they could copy my work and that would be perfectly fine, wouldn't it? So I was pretty grumpy and I thought, I am not. I mean, if you could know the hours it takes me to write my stuff by the time I research it. And it's not just the researching of it, it's the way I think about it and try and digest it in a way that makes it inviting. Because learning the tarot, it's not easy. If you want to learn it properly, it's not easy. So I try to get the concepts that you would need to know and break them down into ways that make them easier for you to understand, I hope. And teach you stuff that maybe you don't necessarily need to know, but that's nice to know. So I was pretty grumpy because it's hours and hours and hours of work, like hours of work. And my graphic design skills, if you could see some of the journals I first used to put out, oh my lordy, I think there's one still on there that I've kept for old time's sake that's pretty much my old work, and I'm kind of looking at it thinking, you've moved on from there now. And it's interesting how even things have changed and I've had to teach myself how to do good notes, documents and all of that. And it has been hours because there isn't, I mean, you can go and do a course on how to use all the apps, but the creativity has to kind of evolve in yourself and you have to get yourself into a space where you say to yourself, I'm not stressed about the software. I don't have to think about how to use it. So then you start to relax. It's a bit like when you're reading the tarot. I'm not stressed about what all the cards mean. And then you can start to relax and receive the messages. Same thing. So anyway, I was pretty grumpy because it's hours and hours of work. So I gave her an opportunity to rectify, wrote to her, said, look, I know, blah, 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 being online's really hard and it's probably really tempting to copy my work because you feel like you'll get something instant and blah, blah, blah. And I said, but you can't do that. Well, this person, and I'm presuming they're female, just said, I don't care. So I said, right, that's it. So I reported them through Shopify. So I reported them, and one of the things of course, it's all the time. Like, I had to do all this research, how to report on Shopify. And one of the things, I'm actually wondering if I might make even a document to help you. Actually, that might be a really good thing to make, where you can just fill in all the bits. One of the things that I had to do was I had to put an image of my work and an image of the copied work. So I had to buy all the copied work. Like, ugh. Anyway. And red arrows, same words, same image, same this, same that, with on top of it, my, very clearly written, my work, their work. And so then it gets loaded up onto Google Drive and you have a link. And then when you complain to Shopify or Etsy or anyone like that, instead, there's nowhere to link anything. But you just typing, they've copied me. They'll just come back with, no, they didn't. Or we can't work out how they've copied you, because they're lazy, essentially. You've got somebody sitting on the other end, on the other side of the world, may have limited English, who knows, sitting there processing these things over and over again. And if you don't make it easy for them and you don't make it a little bit scary, they just will not. So, did all that, sent it through to Shopify and said, needs to be taken down. Well, what ended up happening, some of it got taken down. Oh no, it got taken down. It all got taken down, which is great. But then this person decides that they're going to counter-strike me. And what they did was they lied about their name and they lied about where they live. And the reason I know this is because I'm not stupid. Now, I had someone else who, and of course, while this is all going on, I've got customers who love me because they've come into my vortex and they see all the freebies I give and all the trainings I do and all the rest of it. They are messaging me saying, oh, you've been copied. So I've got all that going on. I'm having to answer people and say, it's all right, I'm trying to fix it and blah, blah, blah. So I realised this person had lied. So I'm thinking, what can I do about this? So I ended up contacting a solicitor in Washington, in America, who was referred to me from my solicitor here in Australia. So in order to protect myself from being copied, one of the things I realised, having watched what goes on online, was I needed to trademark my business name because I just knew I was going to get copied. But I thought it would be more my trademark than anything. So I had to go for trademark in Australia and then I had to go for trademark in America. So I had my Australian solicitor and I have an American solicitor in Washington. I really hope the person that copied me is watching this. So, contact my solicitor in Washington. She says to me, look, going to court is really expensive. We can do it for you, but it's hideously expensive and the person that is behind all this might have absolutely no capacity to pay you damages, blah, 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 and it costs all this money, blah, blah, blah. She said, but you can set yourself up so that, she said, things are happening behind the scenes with all this because everyone's in the same boat. And I'm quite sure it will not be long before the people clerk get onto this because they're already doing get your social media back and representing people in court. It won't be long and they'll be doing very simple copyright strike applications in court and they'll be doing it like sausage machine and they'll be offering to do it much cheaper than some of the bigger solicitors because it's huge. Everyone's going through this. So she said to me, what you can do is get a copyright number from the American Copyright Office. And because you're selling mostly in America, we can make, like that, it counts for a lot. And it costs me 70 American dollars every time I do one. So for every document now that I create, every PDF, every GoodNotes, everything that is my work, I now before it gets, I have to publish it, and then immediately we apply to the American Copyright Office to get a copyright number. And the reason we do that is so that when I put a complaint through to Shopify, Etsy, Facebook, anyone else, you quote that copyright number, and straight away, it's really interesting. Those platforms, because they do have a responsibility not to make money out of copied work, go, ooh, no, and they take it down. You still do have to provide evidence in that document I was talking about to show that how you've been copied, but having that number just gives it an enormous amount of weight. So I went ahead and did all of that. Meanwhile, I pressed this particular person to change their work, and I said, I got to a point, I actually said to them, if you do not change your work, I will pursue you through the courts. And don't think you're hiding, because I know you've lied on the counter notice. The counter notice is actually a legal court document. And if you lie on it, you're perjuring yourself. So if you perjure yourself, immediately the decision in my favor would be made. And it's very easy for me, and copiers, I hope you're listening, it's very easy for me to find out who you are, because all I have to do is press the platform where you're selling. So Shopify, you have to provide all of your details to get a bank account approval and all of those things, and your credit rating and blah, blah, blah. So I just find out who you are. So that kind of frightened this person a bit, and they changed their document just enough. And that's really frustrating. And I guess it's people like Dyson vacuum cleaners and all the rest of it. They know when they put something new out there, everyone's going to copy them, and they will legally get advice to make sure that what they've made is just different enough, just enough to get away with it. So there's that. It's very annoying. Anyway, so that kind of freaked this person out a bit. Then they decided that enough time had passed, and I probably wasn't watching them on Facebook, so they stuck all their stuff up again. And we're talking about somebody buying my stuff and either scanning it in, printing it and scanning it in, or I don't know what, and creating their own documents, not even changing any of it. So, and the sorts of things that were said to me were, I've worked so hard on this, how can you say that? I said, you think you've worked hard? How hard do you think I worked coming up with the original thing in the first place? So I wasn't happy. So the thing that really clinched it, and this is really important for all of you to remember, is remember when everybody was downloading stuff like pirate movies, pirate music, all that sort of stuff, and they cleaned it all up and said, no, you can't do that anymore. Well, the part of that was digital downloads. So the digital downloads that you buy from me, my Etsy shop, and I'll put a link to my Etsy shop down in the comments so you can go and have a look. I got caught up in all of that. And there are different tax rules than if I say I was selling you a pack of cards, a physical item. And the different tax rules are all different all across the world. Now, Etsy manages all of that for me. That's why I sell with them, because the rules are different in India, Bangladesh, USA. In fact, every state in USA is different. France, Germany, you name it. It's all different. And I sell across the world, and I just thought, I can't do this. So Etsy does it for me. Now, I looked at Shopify. They will recommend what the tax will be, but they won't take responsibility for it. You have to actually remit it to all the different countries. I was like, I'm not doing that. Or you can get software. Now, if you want software that will do it as good as Etsy, where you can sell everywhere, it's hideously expensive. It's like thousands of dollars. If you want software that will just do the main countries, I think the EU and America, maybe Canada, that's about it. But it sort of means you're locking out India, a lot of countries, China, a lot of countries who buy from me. A program called TaxJar will do it for you, but you have to link up your Shopify to TaxJar. So I just said to this person, I can't work out who you are. I've looked at your website. I don't even think the photograph of you is you, because on the desk in front of you in this photograph that you've misted out with all this blue filtering are normal playing cards, not tarot cards. So that's not you. You think you're hiding, but you're not. If I have to take this further, I will get my solicitor to go to Shopify. I will find out who you are. And you know what? I'm not going to go to court. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to my beautiful accountant. I've got a wonderful accountant. And I'm going to tell him who you are. He's going to tell me what your jurisdiction is. And we're going to work out that you are selling all over the world, and we are going to report you in every single country we can report you in, and every single one of them will come and hunt you down to get their tax. And India has no grace period. Like the moment you sell something in their jurisdiction, they want their money. I know there's agreements between Australia and the US in terms of that tax, depending on, and Etsy does all that for me. I don't want to think about it. And if I do decide to sell on Shopify, which I may, I'll use TaxJar. And unfortunately, if people contact me and say, I can't buy on your Etsy platform, I'll be just sending them over to, on your Shopify platform, I'll just have to send them over to Etsy and do, I may end up doing both. We'll see. At the moment, I'm using Etsy, and look, they charge fees, but when I work out how complicated all this is to do it properly, I'm quite happy to sell with them. So I said this to this person: if you copy me, this is what I'm going to do. Well, it was down in a flash. So make sure you are doing the right thing. Make sure you have an accountant and you're paying all your tax to keep yourself safe. And then if someone copies you, make sure you've got a good person that's got a bit of a head around being online, and that they will do all of the dobbing in for you, essentially. Will do all the reporting for you, and essentially just report this person across the world, and you can essentially ruin them really fast with one solicitor's letter demanding from Shopify or wherever it is that you want the details of this person because you know they've lied in view of going to court. They'll send it through. You just lean on them, and then you get the details, and away you go to your accountant, and away you go. So that is a way of stopping it. It's a really indirect way, but I tell you what, it worked. So there are other things you can do. You can report people across the web in terms of their copying. Every platform where their stuff appears, make sure you report it everywhere you can think, and make sure that you've got that copyright number. Makes a huge difference. And also, as your business grows, if you get to a point where you want to take legal action, or as I'm hoping the People's Clerk starts to think about, what's some other ways we can make some money for smaller people who can't afford to go to a big solicitor and chase things down, you'll need those copyright numbers, because it proves when you published and that you own that particular work. So that's what's happened to me. I had it happen again on Etsy. And I wrote to this person, and they did the whole, if you could know my situation. I said, listen, you don't know my situation. Just because you see me here looking together, you have no idea what's going on with me. Absolutely no idea. So don't start telling me that. And on top of it, I've worked really, really hard to get to where I am. And the hardest thing about doing what I do is that sometimes I spend hours on things. I put them out there and everyone goes, nah, and they don't work. And then other times I spend hours on things and people love them. But it's a huge risk every single time. So if you copy me, you minimize your risk. Why should I let that happen? And why should I allow somebody to copy me like that? So be really careful who you buy from. This person then carried on like a pork chop. So I just reported them to Etsy and Etsy took it all down. So it's now become an extra thing we have to do where we have to be checking that we're not being copied. So it's annoying. But it's just I think it's just part of being in business. It's very, and I find that because I've got some lovely people that love my work, they're following along as well. And when they see things, they message me and I tend to say, oh, thank you so much for messaging me. You've saved me so much work. And then I say, would you like something out of my shop? It's usually what I say. Is a thank you. So don't copy me. And just know that I know the American government is very aware that there's these big loopholes and things around the copying that they need to sort out. And they're those loopholes, in the next couple of years, it'll take them a while to put all the legislation together and blah, blah, blah to do it, but they will address it. And look, wherever there's an opportunity, somebody will jump into that. Someone will take that opportunity and there will be somebody. Again, if I come across it, if People's Clerk, in fact, I might even write to People's Clerk and ask them if they'll do it and how much it would cost, because someone will come along that will handle it and they'll do them like McDonald's, you fill in the form, you give them the stuff and they just go in and do it for you. So, that's the end of it. I just want to share what happened to me when I was copied, and I hope what I've talked to you about has helped you. If you've been copied, put a comment down in the comments. I'm looking at starting a tutorial group, so people are going to be able to come in, and if they want to talk about, we might make one that's tarot reading and one that's having a business online, and you can come in and ask me questions and all that jazz. Because it's a minefield. It's an absolute minefield. And I've learned so much as these things happen to me. And I run around like a headless chook. And then I realize, hang on a minute, just calm down. There's a way around it. And your biggest way around it is tax. And outing the person as well. Once you know who they are, you can put their details all over the web, because as long as you tell the truth, there's nothing they can do about it. That's the other thing too. If you've got receipts and you've got proof of everything that happened and you know who they are, you can out them on the internet very quickly. And believe me, I would have no hesitation. So if you're watching plagiarizers, just know that I am looking all the time at what I can do to stop you. And believe me, if it's there, I'll find it. Okay, so that's it. I got copied, so you all know what's been going on. I've been hacked, I've been copied, and it's made me really, really busy. So I'm back on deck now. Everything seems to be fine. Touch, I don't know, wood over here somewhere. And I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.